Alright, I like to start these from the very beginning. That way, if you have not already done so, you can look below this video in the description box and you'll find a link for this program, Stellarium. It's free. I suggest you download it. It will help you to carry your cross. When you first turn on Stellarium, you launch this bottom taskbar down here. Starting from the right, coming to the left, you're going to come across to this symbol. It's your meteor showers. We're going to turn that one off. In the next set of symbols, you'll see a lightning bolt. We're going to turn that one on. Then we're going to come across to the atmosphere, which is the sun peeking out behind the clouds, the cardinal points, and the landscape. We're going to turn all three of these off. In the last set of symbols, you'll see a little running man icon. That's your images. We're going to turn that one on. Then we're going to launch the left-hand taskbar, going all the way to the top. An 8-pointed star is a symbol for navigation. It's ruled by Mercury. Our target city is Fulda, Germany. Let's see if it's in the lineup. Yep, thank goodness. Make sure the red arrow is in the correct place. Come back down to the little running man icon and make sure the name of the city is over his head. Then we can X this box out. Coming back to the left-hand taskbar, right below the star is the clock. Our target time is April the 13th, 1978. Just hold down on the little tab and scroll back. Sorry about the Kelly nails. She's trying to get situated there. And our target time is 1700 hours. Oh, let's just go up one and back. I'm not going to be able to do your rising sign because you don't know the exact time you were born. I'm going to pull it back a few minutes and let it scroll over. So if you do find your birth certificate with your exact birth time, I'll show you what you need to do to find your rising sign. In the meantime, we're just going to work with 1700 hours. It'll give you a kind of a overview of what your rising sign is, but particular stars are on the horizon, which definitely affect your birth sign. Now, before we get into the chart, I want to talk about the type of astrology that I'm doing. Saturn rules astrology from Aquarius. It's an air sign. You have 3 air signs. Gemini is what I call the prince of the power of the air. He's under the dome. Everything in our atmosphere is ruled by Gemini. Saturn rules the zodiac from Aquarius, and everything else is ruled from Libra. You have 44 constellations above the zodiac and 44 constellations below the zodiac. I call them the crazy 88. That's ruled by Libra. But this circle belongs to Saturn right here. And so when I'm doing your chart, I'm doing it from the perspective of the middle pillar, or Saturn. And Saturn does everything, and Saturn returns in 30-year increments. So when I'm looking at your natal chart, I am looking at you as the first 30 years of your life, predominantly around 15 years old. By then, your personality's set. You're a Pisces. You will always be a Pisces. But as you change and grow, we see those changes in your Saturn return. This is what I call your inner child. You can always go back and grab that Piscean energy within you. So when I talk about the planets in the first part of this, we're talking about you as a child. Just keep that in mind. And normally I would go over here, hit the search button, do the sun, and then go to it. So you're a Pisces. We're just going to take a quick look and see where everybody's at. You have Mercury in your first house. He is debilitated and combust of the sun. So problems with Mercury right off the bat. Venus in cardinal fire, opposite the house she rules. The moon conjunct Jupiter. Here's another reason why your birth time needs to be exact. Because the moon, your rising sign moves by the minute, and your moon sign moves by the hour. and minutes affect hours. So you could get a stronger conjunction of that moon there. So your moon conjunct Jupiter in Gemini. Your sun sign is who you are on the inside. It's who you are. But the moon sign is who you show people you are, both on the mutable cross. Another thing I'd like to keep in mind here is that as we move through the Saturn returns, and even now the planets that show up on the mutable cross, that's where you're going to have the most change and transmutation for that time period. So you have Mercury and Jupiter and the moon all in on that mutable cross. Mars debilitated in Cancer. Saturn in the mouth of the lion. Uranus in Libra. You're going to have Pluto here in Virgo. You're part of that Pluto and Virgo generation that I've talked so much about. We'll talk more about all of this. Your Neptune's probably going to be here in Scorpio somewhere. All right. And let's grab what we have for a rising sign. So we come back down to the bottom and we're going to turn on the landscape and the cardinal points. Then we're going to come over to the left-hand taskbar right below the clock. You'll see the little symbol with the astrological signs in it. And then hit landscape. And then come to 0 horizon. Then we're going to bring this back to our straight up. Let me pull it back to 59 because it's going to clock to 17. And then we go find the east. In the zodiac in the east, you are Virgo rising. And you do have a particular star here. But you need to know the exact minute, because even 5 minutes can change. 1 minute can change the star on the horizon, as you see, as I move it. So when you get ready to find your exact birth time, you log it in and then go around, find the east, and Virgo is more likely your rising sign. This can change to Leo. It is on the cusp between Virgo and Leo. You always pick the star in the zodiac, then come over here to IAU constellation. You'll see it right there. It says Virgo. But to me, doing as many charts as I've done, I've found that almost every star sitting on the horizon will affect you, whether it's rising or in the west setting. As you are a Virgo rising, this is Aquarius here, so you're Aquarius setting. But you want to find, here's another star on the horizon. It's called Difda or Deneb Kaitaus. We can come over here right below the clock and go to star lore. Sometimes the older the program for Stellarium is, the better chance you have of getting the translations. They've been scrubbed. So this star is called the second frog. The second frog. And you can look up the meaning of that. You can study it in the different types of astrology. It's part of Leviathan. Leviathan is the beast that comes up out of the sea, which is religion. And it can tell you more about yourself. Part of carrying your cross. So I'm going to try to stay in the Western tradition, because we're doing it from the Bible. And just always go around and find you have several stars on the horizon. But you need that minute mark to do that correctly. Alright. So Virgo rising, which is also the mutable cross. So your sun sign, your moon sign, and your rising sign are all on the mutable cross, which is the adept stage, but it's also necessary for transmutation. Now, let's just get right into it. I like to start with the outer planets. Pluto in Virgo. We're going to check right off the bat whether or not Pluto is retrograde. We're going to come over here to the logistics, and you'll see ecliptic, longitude, latitude, J2000.0 in parentheses. Our numbers are 195, 23, 385. We're going to watch the 23, 385. And we're going to come over here and kick it up a day. And the numbers decreased. So you have a Pluto retrograde. The outer planets are not connected to the chakras, and they do not rule any houses of the zodiac in alchemical astrology. It takes Pluto 200 years to go around this circle, so to think that it would affect us as ruling a house of astrology is kind of ridiculous. The alchemy with Pluto and Uranus, I'd like to talk about them together because they both work in very similar ways. Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto are all beyond Saturn, the crown chakra. They're parts of the mind. Uranus is the conscious mind, and he works with Jupiter in the physical world. Pluto is the subconscious mind, and he works with Saturn in the etheric world. And Neptune is the imagination. He works with both. Uranus speaks in language, Neptune speaks in symbology and language, and Pluto only speaks in symbology. So it's really important for your generation to learn your symbolism. If you have not already downloaded the flash drive, you need to, I'll put the link below. You can go to the cloud and download that flash drive, and in it will be the charts that you need so that you can have the correct symbolism, which is really important for your generation. As the winter solstice and the Saturn-Jupiter conjunction, it is now your generation's time of visitation. And so you need to be prepared. And your generation is basically supposed to be in control for the next 20 years. It is your generation doing the manifesting. So Pluto retrograde, because the outer planets are not connected to your chakras, the energy is a lot easier to transmute and can actually be in your favor. This one, everything is in duality, so it can go either way. But a Pluto retrograde is you win arguments that you do not deserve to win. Whether you just outwin your opponent, intimidate them, or whatever, you win arguments that by all means you don't deserve to. Now, Uranus and Pluto's alchemy works the same, so I'm going to talk about them together. Pluto will affect you, 1, when it's on the mutable cross, and 2, when it's in an earth sign. We just had Pluto on the mutable cross in Sagittarius of fire, where it affected you. Your alchemy for there is about ideology and philosophy, which is Sagittarius. You were supposed to put off the old ideology to take on a new one. Uranus and Pluto working the same way. When they come into a sign, they're slow, they're subtle, they're there for a long time. You get to decide the who, what, where, when, why, and how the alchemy gets done. But if you don't do the alchemy, that these two planets will do it for you in a single day, in a single hour. They can tear your whole world apart when they get ready to leave a sign. And we're in the process of having Pluto leave Sagittarius, moving into Capricorn. So it's time to put off the old ideology and be prepared for a new one. It's like Santa Claus. It's like you grow up believing in Santa Claus, you go to school, and the bully tells you Santa's not real. You go through a paradigm shift, an ideology shift. Well, who is Santa? Well, where's the presents come from? Why did you lie to me? And you've got to just rebuild your whole dynamic. And that's kind of what this is like. Well, the takeaway is occurring now. So it's up to actually you and your generation, because the next sign is Earth, mutable Earth, Virgo, mutable Earth. So now that the takeaway happened here, the manifestation happens now, here in Capricorn. And because Pluto is about symbolism, it's really important that you have the correct symbolism, especially the alchemical ones and the imagery that's being used today on television, media, brands, and logos. Make sure you're carrying the correct symbols, especially that rainbow flag. Purple needs to be on top. It doesn't matter what the rest of the world is doing. It matters what those of you with Pluto and Virgo are doing, because it is your time of visitation. Now, as far as Uranus, working the same way, but in the physical world, Uranus is going to affect you on the cardinal cross and in an air sign. You currently have Uranus on the cardinal cross in the sign of Aries, which is cardinal fire, and that's the sign of purification. So what you need to be doing here is purifying your mind, Uranus. It's far more important what goes into your mind than what goes into your mouth. What goes into your mouth, we can excrete the waste out the other end. Your mouth. But what goes into your mind, once it's there, it's there. You need to purge what you put in your mind. No fear porn. No porn, no sex porn. Clean it up. Start studying to show yourself approved. Download that library and start going through those books. And I also forewarn you that even all script, whether it's religious, astrological, or even scientific, it's all encoded alchemically. You need to look at that material with alchemical ears and astrological eyes, so that learn that imagery, and it will teach you something brand new. There are stories within stories if you know the imagery. So that's what you need to be doing now, and you have until 2025 to complete this. If you do not complete it, Uranus will do it for you. And Uranus can be far more destructive than Pluto. In 2024, when Uranus gets ready to leave here, and people who have not done this alchemy, they will deal with Uranus in fire, cardinal fire. And this fire only does two things. It either purifies you or it burns you to the ground. And you got to become the phoenix out of the ashes and completely reinvent yourself. Now, you'll get a break as Uranus is in Taurus, but then you'll feel that Uranus energy again when it hits Gemini, the air sign, which is going to really, honestly, put you into a hermit stage. You'll become a bit of an isolationist here, at least in your mind. A lot of thinking and studying and all that going on here. But here, when Uranus gets ready to leave, it can burn your house to the ground. Pluto and Uranus will take whatever they have to take from you to make the alchemy happen now, immediately. They'll burn your house to the ground in a fire sign. A water sign, it can just start raining and it does not stop until your house is floating down the street. They'll take whatever. Air sign can be like a tornado. Earth sign can be like an earthquake. They'll do whatever. Everything is on the table with them. The people you love, they can take them from you if that alchemy is not done, just to force it. So beware of Pluto and Uranus leaving a sign. And do the alchemy when they come in. Pluto is just now coming into Capricorn. You have 20 years. You have a good 20 years to get that alchemy done, to get the symbolism right, to get your message to the universe right, and it will answer you back. It's like the eye in Lord of the Rings. If you look at it, it's looking at you. Let's check Uranus. That's not Uranus. And see if Uranus is retrograde. Oh, so close. I mean, conjunct that star almost. Our numbers are 225, 34145. We're going to watch the 34145 and a double retrograde. You're rebellious. You're overly rebellious. This is cardinal air. This is the Most High of Heaven. So you're not just rebellious. You're freaking really rebellious. Now, it's great to be rebellious. It's good to have the inner authority to say no. But I warn you, when it comes time for this change to occur, don't say no. The rebellion, you go up against Uranus, Uranus is going to take you down. So take heed to that Uranus and Aries right now. Go with the flow of the change. Don't rebel against it. You can't win. So keep that in mind. Now, let me pause here for a second. All right, let's move right into Neptune. Neptune is my favorite, way underrated planet, way misunderstood, and way, way misrepresented. Neptune, the imagination part of the mind. As Pluto speaks in symbolism and Uranus speaks in language, Neptune does both. Neptune, or our imagination, is what sets us apart from the rest of the animal kingdom. That's where our creativity comes from. Invention, imagination, fantasy. And you have Neptune in Scorpio. And that is very much about your friendships, the people you choose in your life, sexuality, and fantasy. So you could be with Neptune here, you could be somebody that actually fantasizes a lot about sexuality. Very fantasize about it. Which could fit right in with that rising sign of Virgo over here, that damsel in distress. Always looking for the Prince Charming to come save her, right? First thing we want to see is Neptune retrograde. Our numbers are 258, 28043. We're going to watch the 28043, another retrograde. Triple retrograde on the outer planets. So you have an overactive imagination, which can actually be good for manifestation, because without the imagination, there is no manifestation. Neptune works with Saturn and Jupiter. His alchemy is different than anybody else's on the board. Quite unique. Now pay real close attention to this. You might want to get a pencil and piece of paper and start taking notes if you have not already. When you find Neptune and Saturn on the same cross or in the same element, you'll start having these really great ideas that literally come out of nowhere and that can change your life or even change the world. Now what you have to do is start working on these ideas when you have them. And as Neptune moves and it comes onto the same cross or the same element with Jupiter, those ideas start to manifest into the physical world. Unfortunately, these alignments can take years and decades to occur. Now we have those rare times in our life where we have Saturn, Jupiter, and Neptune all on the same cross somewhere, or all in the same element somewhere. Then it moves from years and decades to months and years, weeks and months, while they're in those perspective houses. And then there are those rare times in our lives where we find Saturn, Jupiter, and Neptune all in the same house, all at the same time. Then the manifestation is almost instantaneous. A verse from the Bible, the centurion goes to the Messiah and tells him, "My daughter's sick. Can you heal her? You don't need to come. Just say the word." And then he went home. The daughter's healed. He said, "When was she healed?" And it was the self-same hour as when he spoke that she would be healed. It happened instantaneously. That lets us know we were in a Saturn, Jupiter, Neptune conjunction, that things were happening instantly. Like the winter solstice, we had Saturn, Jupiter, and Pluto conjunct. And your generation is manifesting from the collective subconscious. If it's Saturn, Jupiter, and Uranus, you would be manifesting from your conscious mind. If it's Saturn, Jupiter, and Neptune, you would be manifesting from pure imagination. Now, Neptune has another job, and we'll get back to that momentarily. We've done the outer planets. Now I want to move to the inner planets. And thankfully, the retrogrades on the outside can benefit you. Just don't be overly rebellious when it comes to the change of Uranus and Pluto. We get to places in our lives. You've got the great job. You've got the right partner. You got just bought a new home. You're where you want to be in life. But you're not doing the alchemy. Without change, there's no growth. If you're not growing, you're dying. And these two planets will come along and rip the rug out from under you to force that change. We're not allowed to become complacent here. The transmutation must occur. All right, Neptune, already combust and debilitated here. Is he retrograde? We don't need to look at the numbers. Yep, you took a triple play on this one. Wow. And I've actually never done a chart with a triple play on Mercury like this. That not only are you retrograde, not only are you debilitated, but you're combust of the sun. This is somebody, to me, you're not allowed to say shit. And when you do, you're just tongue-tied. As a child, remember, we're looking at you as a child. This would actually be somebody that came off as very shy. You could have trouble as a child. This is a child that could get lost very easily. You could get turned around and have a bad sense of direction. You could have what's considered learning disabilities. Some people are visual, some are audible. This is just a major communication breakdown. It's like a pile up on the freeway. It's just a complete breakdown right here with Mercury. You're going to have trouble, again, communicating, a trouble getting where you're going, a trouble expressing yourself, whether it's a lack of vocabulary or you say one thing and people just hear what they want to hear, but you're not getting your message across at all as a child. This is a hard one right here. But because Mercury is on that mutable cross, change is going to happen here. It's part of the transmutation that you have to outgrow, for lack of a better terminology. Now to Venus. Is she retrograde? No, thank goodness. Venus and fire. This is very passionate. So far in the chart, this is the best thing you've got going for you. Now Venus rules the opposite sign of Libra in air. But this is your heart. And it's fiery, and it's passionate, and it's cardinal. And you have an incredible ability to love others. And unfortunately, don't have that same ability to express love that you do. So you're going to end up with what I call the short stick or the short straw. Because your capacity is greater, you will always give more than you receive. That might be a lesson you'll learn later in life even, is you're such a giver that you don't even know how to receive. We'll talk more about that as well. But very passionate. When you love somebody, it's everything. It's all of you. You don't hold back at all. But you might not get that in return unless you find another partner with Venus on that cardinal cross balancing you out. You would actually need somebody with a Venus in Capricorn or Cancer, preferably Capricorn, would be good for you here at this age. Now, that's going to change as we move through the Saturn returns. All right, now for Mars, another bad one. Mars is debilitated in Cancer. Thank goodness he's not retrograde. Excuse me. Now, debilitation simply means weak. Let me clarify. Excuse me, I keep burping. Let me clarify Mercury for a second, because you caught the triple play. Combustion means somebody outside of yourself. So as a child, this combustion here was you're being told to shut up. You're not allowed to speak. You're being shut down from an outside source other than self. That's combustion. Debilitated means it's just weak. Retrograde means it's ass backwards and you're all thumbs. So you caught all three. So Mercury is no friend to you. In all actuality, the funny thing about it is, the opposite sun sign from you is Virgo, opposite your sun sign. And Mercury rules that house, and he's exalted in that house, and he is the answer to your problem. is Mercury in Virgo is the answer to the problem of Mercury in Pisces. I'll expand on that as we move into your Saturn returns. Now Mars. Mars is debilitated here, which means he's weak. Mars is the planet of war. Generally, when Mars is here, you can have somebody that can have be born with physical disabilities. That's congenital. He's in a water sign, which here you could have what I call plumbing problems, and that could be in your body or in your outside world. Another thing is no country would ever start a war with Mars in Cancer. Whoever throws the first punch or fires the first shot loses. I actually like Mars here in a way because it's what I call peace on Earth. There's no war. Mars is not in a warlike state at all. So you are not a confrontational person. As a matter of fact, you're somebody that dreads confrontation. I mean, and I use that word literally, dread. You do not look forward to confrontation. You will avoid it at all cost. Again, this is all going to change as we move through your Saturn returns. But I like Mars here myself because, again, peace on Earth. Now to Jupiter. Jupiter rules your desires and your belief systems. And you have Jupiter in Gemini. Gemini is ruled by Mercury. And here Gemini he's Buddha. He's Thoth. He's Hermes Trismegistus. He's that great wisdom. Hermes, we get the word hermit from there, right? And your moon sign is conjunct that. And this is what you show other people. You're not a loner. There are others around you, but your moon is almost in a hermit state. So you're probably somebody who does not have a lot of friends as a child. And you do pick them carefully. Again, you hate that confrontation. So you would rather be alone than do this confrontation over here. But your belief system is one of Hermetics. It's one of Buddha. It's very Oriental in nature, which Hermetics and alchemy are not the same. Hermetics is just a branch of alchemy. Alchemy is like saying school, and Hermetics is just like the science. It's only one subject of many. But again, it deals with ideology and philosophy, opposing Sagittarius. So it's very inward, it's very philosophical in nature, but Hermetic, it's more on a spiritual level, to where Sagittarius, it's all philosophy and ideology, no spirituality. This is the other end of that. It's the spirituality of it all. So you are a very spiritual person, even though you're all up in this house of religion. Pisces is religion, and you don't function here. You're functioning over here. Is Jupiter retrograde? Nope. No harm, no foul. Jupiter could have actually helped you retrograde there. Now to Saturn, what this is all about. The first thing we want to know is Saturn retrograde. Our numbers are 144043992. We're going to watch the 04392. Yep. I regretted that. I knew it was coming though. Saturn retrograde. People who have authority over you take advantage of you for their own personal pleasures and financial gains. This, in a natal chart, is child abuse. I mean, we're already seeing over here you're being told to shut up. We're already seeing you withdrawn inward here as what's going on with you stays with you. Your actions are debilitated. Your voice is being subjected to. The only thing that you even have to stand on as a child is your heart. Now, this abuse over here, it can be verbal abuse, physical abuse, mental abuse, sexual abuse, financial abuse, and I even put neglect. To me, neglect is one of the top. A missing parent, you can feel unwanted, being a middle child, feeling unloved, you kind of just get lost in the crowd. Now, because of this child abuse that's going on with you, people ask me, what is this about? Why is this happening to me? Did I do something in a previous life? Is this karma I'm reaping? No, not from the way I see it. The way I see it, Saturn never puts on us more than we're able to handle. And the reason it happened to you is because you have the responsibility to break the cycle. Saturn allows this to happen, but he also gives you the ability, or gives you the abilities to do what you need to do to break the cycle. And it's required. Wherever Saturn is in your natal chart, that is your lesson. And obviously here, it's one of courage. I'll talk more about that. Let me just clarify a little more on how this works. When I say people who have authority over you will take advantage of you, that's older siblings, babysitters, parents, teachers, clergy, police officers, anybody who has authority over you. It's almost like you got a target on you. Now, Saturn requires that, one, you cannot become, just because it was done to you, don't make it okay for you to grow up and do it. You're actually supposed to stand up and put a stop to it. If this is a family dynamic, this can even be bullying in school. Other children who take advantage of you. But you're supposed to stand up against it, and the buck stops with you. You don't do it to your children, and you don't do it to others. You bring a halt to this cycle by bringing attention to it and standing in the gap for others as you grow. Once you overcome it within yourself, then part of your life must be to help that same abuse that happened to you, bring it to public awareness. Now, if you don't do this alchemy, and this rolls over into your first Saturn return, then it can start manifesting itself in coming from out of the home or out of school environment into the workplace. And in the workplace, this can be you're doing all the work, but your manager or your supervisor, they're taking the credit for your work. They're getting the promotion, they're getting the bonus, they're getting the credit, the pat on the back, and you get nothing. As a matter of fact, you could get fired just so they don't get caught plagiarizing your work. So it's a learning to stand up for yourself. Leo is about courage. Let's talk. That's why we go through the Cowardly Lion in Wizard of Oz. Regulus is the nail in the feet of the Messiah on the cross. And now, that makes this, the nail in the foot of the Messiah, makes this the only apostle that had the courage to show up at the crucifixion. 3 people showed up. Mother Mary, which is represented by Cancer, the divine feminine. The other Mary, which is the woman with the alabaster box, or the damsel in distress over here. And then the beloved, the only apostle that had the courage to show up at the crucifixion. So your lesson with Saturn is one of courage. Now, let me pause for a second. Okay, I had to pause for a second. Saturn is channeling energy to me right now, and I have a message for you about this dynamic and what's going on, because this is your lesson. Your lesson is not your purpose, but it prepares you for your purpose. So in preparation, you have to find courage. Now, Saturn always gives you what you need to get that done, and that's the Uranus retrograde you have. you have to have the courage to say no. You're already rebellious at the highest levels, but you have to be able to stand up and say no more and put a stop to it, regardless of the outcome. And your actions are debilitated. Your speech is debilitated, and the only saving grace you really have is your heart. This is a tough chart. This is a hard childhood. But Saturn never puts on more you than you can handle, and he always gives you what you need to get through it. And your Uranus is what's going to pull you through it. That Uranus in your conscious mind is out there. It's cardinal air. It's beyond the stars. You have the capacity to do this. Another thing about this being John the Apostle. He wrote the book of Revelation. He wrote the Gospel of John. When you talk about the Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, you're saying earth, water, fire, and air. John writes in air. Everything looks up. So he's the cowardly lion looking up to Aquarius, which is air. So this is the answer right here, which is astrology and alchemy. It's the law of equivalent exchange. You're going to get out of something exactly what you put into it. Now, this is a tough chart. You have definitely drawn a short straw. This is not a happy childhood. It's almost grown up. Now, Pisces are go along to get along. They're happy-go-lucky. They're groupthink. This is somebody who just wants to fit in, who just wants to be normal. But you're not. You're not normal. You're not an average Joe. You've caught a short straw. But at the same time, because of the law of equivalent exchange, the payoff is enormous for you. It's going to be huge. So work with this. You've already had your first Saturn return. And we'll do that next. After we finish this space. Let's take a quick look at your pillars and paths in Freemasonry and Kabbalah. You might want to get a pencil and piece of paper and do this as I'm doing it, just so you have a graph. But I'm going to do it here for you. We're going to do the Sun pillar. The Moon pillar. Of course, in Kabbalah, that's severity and mercy. Then we'll do the ladder. This is air. So you have fire, water, air, and then the checkerboard floor down here is earth. Just going to put some checkerboards. And they start at the bottom with mutable working to cardinal. So you'll have Virgo, Taurus, and Capricorn for earth. You'll have Gemini, Aquarius, and Libra for air. You'll have Jupiter, the Sun, and Aries, Mars for the solar pillar, Jupiter, Mars, and the Moon for the lunar pillar. So you have the Sun and Mercury in water in Pisces right here. And so you have the Sun, and then you have Mercury retrograde, debilitated, and combust. You have Venus in cardinal fire. That's right here at the top of the solar pillar. Even though she's in severity and you could feel heartbroken, your capacity to love is the only other place it could be higher is at Libra. It's cardinal. So still a good place for your Venus. You have Jupiter and the Moon in Gemini, which is right here, the bottom of the ladder. Jupiter and the Moon. You have Uranus in Libra, which is here at the top of the ladder. You have Neptune in Scorpio, which is right here. You have Pluto in Virgo, which is the entered apprentice right here. Who am I leaving out? think I got everybody. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and nope, I'm missing somebody. Oh, the Saturn. Yeah, of course. The Saturn is right here in Leo. So you have kind of spread out equally. You have a few on the look. These are in mercy. So your imagination, who you are, and your voice chakra are all in mercy. Your lesson and your heart are in severity. Your subconscious mind is at the bottom, and your conscious mind is at the very top, with your Jupiter and your moon. And they're on the middle pillar. They're already on the middle path. Okay, now, Saturn's going to give you some help. He always gives you what you need. So, to help you with your lesson, which is courage, we go to what I call Saturn's right-hand man for manifestation, and that's Neptune. So, and you have Neptune in the upper house of Scorpio, Ophiuchus. So, your help, this is what I call, you're going to get a little help from your friends. In the water signs, Pisces, that's groupthink. The people you go to work with, the people you go to school with, like mind, people you're in fraternities with. The water in Cancer is the people you're related to in your family. But this is the people you choose in your life here. Best friends, lovers, people you tell secrets to, and people you're intimate with. Now this is the hero's journey. You might want to check out Joseph Campbell, The Hero's Journey. You can find that on YouTube. Write that down. You'll find more videos about people doing interpretations of his work. I suggest just go straight to the horse's mouth and don't worry about what other people say about his work. Go to Joseph Campbell's own work. Now, in astrology, this is Hercules. Hercules finds out halfway through the movie that the king he's fighting for, his best friend, is plotting behind his back, setting Hercules up to take the fall. And so there's a lesson there of you keep your friends close and your enemies closer. In the Vedic, this is Vishnu. Vishnu goes through the 12 trials, just like Hercules, or the 12 houses of the zodiac. And he's ready to go to heaven, and they tell him, great job, Vishnu, you can come on in, but you can't bring your dog. And he's like, wait a minute, I've lost everything, my family, my fortune, my friends. My only loyal companion has been my dog, and he's been through all of these trials with me. So if he don't deserve to go, I don't want to go. And they're, well done, Vishnu, you and your dog can enter in. It was a test. It's a test of loyalty. It's all about loyalty to you. This is Mars's house, and you have Mars in water. You have this dynamic of water going on between Mars, the Sun, Mercury, and your imagination right here. So, to help you with your courage and your lesson to prepare you for your purpose, you're going to get a little help from your friends. That's where you look for that dynamic. It's not going to come from your family. You are debilitated in your family, Mars. You don't hold any rank there. Not in childhood anyway. This is family dynamic, and yours is retrograde. So this is a pretty tough chart for a child. This is a pretty heavy load to bear. But we're going to see how you do. Let's go find out why you're here. Let's get into this Saturn return. So I need to come back to the, it's easier to go this way. Oops. Just going to leave it at that 59, let it clock over. And let's click on Saturn and write down our numbers. And they are 1440440. Some dynamic numbers there. We're going to take off into the future 30 years, bring Saturn right back around to the mouth of the line at 144 degrees. Find out why you're here. Too far. On 4404 4007. There we go. July the 17th, 2007 at 2100. Might as well say 2200 hours. The sun is in Gemini. So you've moved. You've moved from Pisces to Gemini. You've moved from water to air. Now, your ruling planet is Jupiter. You're ruled by your desires and your beliefs. That's what rules you, your desires and your beliefs. And you had Jupiter here in the house of Hermetics. Let's check this Mercury. Is he retrograde? Nope. So you're no longer retrograde. You're no longer combust. And you're no longer debilitated. And Mercury is in his own house, on his own cross. So as bad as it was in Pisces is as good as it is right here. You now have a voice. And you're very articulate. Mercury rules intelligence. And this is a powerful position for Mercury. So Mercury went from the most debilitated, combust, retrograde to a position of authority and power. The only other position that Mercury has in the zodiac that's stronger than this is for Mercury to be in Virgo. So this is like the second place. This is the second most powerful position for Mercury. So you did really good in overcoming that. Now, you brought the moon and Venus over into fire. So you had Venus in this cardinal fire. Now you have Venus again, conjunct Regulus at the foot of the cross. Now being ruled by the higher self. With the moon, you have the moon in the house of the sun. And you're showing, this is who you show people you are. You're showing them your heart. You're showing them your higher self. You're showing them your courage. And you're a force to be reckoned with here. But you're also that Buddha, Thoth. Remember laughing Buddha, Thoth, Hermes. They're all these really mellow characters. But you don't fuck with them. Right there. You'll come at him like a lion. You can be the good guy or the bad guy here. Is Venus retrograde? No. She's fixing to go that way, though. She's taking that dive down to go into retrograde. So you got lucky there. And again, you still have that very fiery heart. But now it's fixed at the foot of the cross. And it's extremely courageous. Again, that heart over in that fire was your only saving grace. And in severity, so it's not even fair to call it grace. Grace belongs to the lunar pillar. Jupiter in Scorpio. That's your desires. Your desire now is about friendship and bonding and being the hero, saving the day, being the one that has the authority, the control, and the power. Is he retrograde? Yep. And you caught a Jupiter retrograde. This is actually in your favor. Jupiter retrograde, you're starting to think outside of the box. You're starting to thinking, you're not so linear thinking anymore. Now you're thinking outside of the box. Uranus in Aquarius. So your conscious mind is very alchemical. It's very astronomical, and it's that self-martyr, right? That's the self-martyr. The lesson of this is nobody did this to you but you. Mars in his own house of war, boy, he come out of debilitation he went from the bottom to the top. Mars here can be very volatile. I need to check Kelly. Alright, so Mars here, kind of got to watch it. And again, everything in duality, so I want to give you both sides of what Mars is like here. You went from Mars debilitated in cardinal water to Mars. This is Mars's second most powerful place. We have Mars here right now coming into Aries. So you're feeling the dynamics of this now. This is actually what I call the Levitical priesthood. And they became this, they were supposed to purify themselves. This is the purified Levitical priesthood. And instead of purifying themselves, what they did was try to purify the other tribes or the other constellations. It wasn't supposed to be for them. It was supposed to be for self, so that they could stand in the gap for the rest of them. And instead, when they're trying to purify the other tribes, they became corrupt. And they became what I refer to as the Babylonian priesthood. Instead of serving, they began sacrificing to Molech. So when you talk cardinal cross, it's to the extremes. And so you need to find balance here. If you're having, this is emotionally off the charts and powerful. This is taking names and kicking ass right here. But you have to be careful with that. You need to find that balance. And you're going to find that balance in Capricorn and in Cancer, which is your family. And I know that's a hard one to choke, especially with what you went through with your family dynamic in the first 30 years. And he's not retrograde, he's just going at it. Great positioning. Now, you've got Pluto is still in Scorpio here. So your subconscious mind is also getting ready to leave a sign, which means you went through some type of subconscious transmutation here, because right after this, 2009 to 2010, when he starts entering into Sagittarius, is when you went through the shift. You go through the shift right after this with Pluto, where things just start changing. Your dynamic, your subconscious. What else? Now for your purpose. Why are you here? Capricorn. First deacon of Capricorn. This is interesting. Capricorn in Star Wars, this is the Jedi. This star right here is Deneb Al-Gedi, or the Jedi. It's the beginning of the Jedi. Over here in the third deacon, this is where Anakin Skywalker walks into the Jedi temple and kills all the younglings. And this tells the story of the younglings that got away. But this is what I call the beginning of the Jedi. It's very militaristic, actually. Generally, military-wise, which is ruled by Capricorn, you'll find 5-star generals that have their sun sign or moon sign right here. Well, your Neptune is here. This is your purpose. Saturn rules Aquarius and Capricorn. In Aquarius is the Messiah. He said, "No man takes my life. I lay it down." He's the self-martyr. He's the one who gives himself for the whosoever. And Capricorn is government, agriculture, education, policeman, post office, fireman. I even put waitress in this category because it's the one who serves the many. Kind of like what Kennedy said, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. Well, this is not asking what the world or life can do for you, but what you can do for the world or life. You did not come here for you. You came here to be in service to others. And you have a very militaristic flavor to all of this. This is somebody in authority. This is taking leadership roles. This is somebody leading the vanguard. So you're not here for you. You came here to break cycles, the cycles of abuse you went through as a child. And you came here to stand in the gap for others. A very unselfish thing. So everything that you've been through to this point here was to prepare you to be in service to others, not self. Are you, let's grab that. Let's see if he's retrograde. You have 321131168. We're going to watch the 13168. Yeah, so you still got that active imagination, and it's on the cardinal cross now. But Capricorn is patient, long-suffering, above and beyond anything. The one word that goes with Capricorn is patience, which is really the opposite of this. Your actions are, that ram is in your face. It's all about now, do it now. But no, your purpose is to serve others with patience, not serving self now. Kind of like what happened with the Babylonian priesthood. The Levitical priesthood. They served self instead of others. Alright, so I'm going to need to write this one down because I still have the others in my head. But we're going to put the Sun and Mercury is in Gemini. The Moon, Venus, and Saturn is in Leo. Uranus is in Aquarius. Neptune is in Capricorn. Pluto is in Scorpio. Jupiter, where's your desires again? Where's Jupiter? Let go. And Scorpio with Pluto. All about the friends. Who am I missing? Mars and Aries. Alright, let's do your pillars and paths again. And take a look at the graph and see how it varies from the first one. And then we'll do it a third time. There we go. Everything kind of froze on me for there. Got the Sun, the Moon, the ladder, and the checkerboard floor. Alright. We have the Sun in Gemini, which is right here. This is who you are. You're always going to be the Pisces, but you take on these aspects now. That inner child is always there. Remember that. The Moon is in Leo, which is right here. You have the Moon, Venus, and Saturn. All in severity, all fixed, which means they're stable, and all on the solar pillar. You have Mercury in Gemini with the Sun. So you have Mercury here as well. Now these two again are going to be up for change. They're on that mutable cross. we have Mars in Aries, which is at the top here. We have Jupiter in Scorpio, which is over here. What you do is when we go through all three of these, you can look at your three graphs side by side. Who else have I got? I've got Uranus in Aquarius, which is here. Pluto is in Scorpio with Jupiter over here. And Neptune in Capricorn here. So you've got your heart, but note that your conscious mind, your Sun and your Mercury and Neptune all on the middle path. Everything else is either all in severity, and you still catch that Pluto, Jupiter in mercy. And the mutable change is, again, it's going to be the Mercury-Sun is where the mutation will occur. Alright, now, because Saturn rules the zodiac, in the age of Aries, we had the law, the 10 Commandments, by Mars. But in Pisces, under Jupiter, we have mercy and grace. You gotta have blind faith, right? But in Aquarius, it's the law of alchemy. There's only one law, and it's the law of equivalent exchange. You reap what you sow. There is a payoff. It's karma and dharma. What you put into it is what you're going to get out of it. So Saturn does have a payoff, but he's only got two answers. And one is, well done, good and faithful servant. You can spend your golden years in my golden age. But the other one is, depart from me. I never knew you. And back on the wheel you go. So let's find out how you do. I'm going to take off into the future, coming back to Leo 144. Back, up one, back. 7, there we go. August the 29th, 2036, at 10:01 in the morning, you've brought the Sun and Mars into Leo on the fixed cross at the foot of the cross. Mercury in Leo. Too bad he didn't make it into Virgo. But he is cusp. So you've got 1, 2, 3 now that have all come into Leo at the foot of the cross. Moon all by itself in Scorpio. This is auspicious. This is where the Vatican does all their magic. They do it with the moon is right here. So this is very powerful moon sign, and this is how other people see you. It's all alone, so you're all alone, but you're the hero. You become the hero. And it's a 57% moon. But this is the way other people see you, and they see you as the friend. You're a friend. Jupiter, great placement for Jupiter. Good fortune here. Jupiter loves being in Taurus. This is kind of, it's not a bonus, it's not a gift, it's something earned. You have a payoff at the end of your life. Some investments you made, retirement. In retirement, you'll do well financially because of investments that you've made. You have Jupiter over the lunar pillar in Taurus. It's just very It's just good fortune. Good fortune. But your belief system has become what I call a very Masonic one. Now, in the flash drive download, you'll find a book called Stellar Theology and Masonic Astronomy. I suggest you read that book. It will probably resonate with you very much so. This is very fraternal. Venus and Uranus both in Gemini. Is she retrograde? No. Did I see that Mercury retrograde? Yep, Mercury retrograde. So you're going to have another problem communicating. Now, this dynamic here plays out after this date. This begins this date. So, yeah, you're going to have trouble expressing yourself again. And it's almost opposite where it was in your natal chart. This is kind of a hard chart to determine here, one way or the other than you brought Mars and the Sun in submission at the foot of the cross. To me, that's a well done chart. Nothing out of the ballpark, but you brought yourself into submission under the authority of the cross, the fixed cross. Now, your cross that you're born with is a mutable one, right? You moved from Pisces to Gemini, and now you finally made it to the fixed cross. You graduated. You graduated to the fixed cross, which is master level, which is really the purpose. So that's definitely a well done chart. But again, you caught that Mercury retrograde. Your Venus is in Mercury's house. So, and your conscious mind is as well. So now you have found a great love for hermetics itself. Something that has really been within you throughout your chart. You've always had these Thoth, Hermes, Buddha tendencies in you. And now you've found a love for it. You just like being alone. You actually enjoy being by yourself, which most people don't. Most people are codependent and they cannot stand to be by themselves for 5 minutes. They've got to turn on the TV. They're ready. They can't just stand to be there by themselves. You actually enjoy it, which can be a blessing. And you're consciously active with it. Well, good chart. You did graduate to the master level. Now, again, life is not over here, right? Your lesson is over, your purpose is over, but now what? Well, what's coming next? Back to groupthink. You need to get involved. You need to get involved in groupthink. And I know this is the house of religion, but people can have different things. Some people's religion is getting drunk every day, right? It's ritualistic, but it's groupthink. So you need to get involved in groupthink. And this is a funny one too, because it's not an either fish. I call this is the Old Testament fish. He's got the black and white Masonic words, and he's still worshiping this God of fire over here. But this is the New Testament fish, and he has the red words, and he's worshiping our Father in heaven over here. But you're kind of in the middle, like the Vatican, holding the leash, holding the reins on those two fishes. So whatever group you're involved in, they're going to be the one holding the dynamic of those two fish. And that, what do we call it? The Apocrypha? What comes after the Old Testament but before the New Testament? They took it out of the Protestant Bibles. This is very Apocrypha-like. So I send you in the direction of the Apocrypha to find your answers for this and what it is you're going to be group thinking on. It's very Apocrypha, which is the changing of the ages, the time of the Maccabees, right? If any of that is familiar to you. All right, let's take it back to the beginning. 1978. Did I do the 3 pillars there? April 13. That's 1,700 hours. But you didn't come here to serve you, so you really weren't looking for a payoff anyway. But you found yourself graduated. And to me, Leo, representing John the Apostle, oh, he's my favorite, right? He wrote Revelation, and the secret teachings of John and the Nag Hammadi is just probably my favorite book. He's my favorite apostle. Love him. He's called the Beloved. All right. Let's go to your sun sign. Now, you have a magic circle. You rule water magic. And it's not very strong, but it is what you were born under. You have a magic circle, and actually, it's the Mercedes symbol. So a good talisman for you would be the Mercedes thing that goes on the front of the car. You need to get one of those. Its color is white or silver, and it's cut into 3 pieces of pie. In the first piece of pie, you have a symbol of the sun and a symbol of Mercury, debilitated, combust, retrograde. Ass backwards water magic there. In the second piece of pie, you have a symbol of Scorpio and Neptune, retrograde. And in the third piece of pie, you have a symbol of Cancer and a symbol of Mars, retrograde. So you can see that ass backwards water magic you've got going on. It's almost like you need to do the rituals in reverse or upside down or something, because it's almost like when you try to do it, it's just going to blow up in your face. And you're fixing to see some of that coming here too, because now we're going to do your cross. Your axis bar up and down is feminine, and your cross bar is masculine. At the top, it's white, so you're what I call the white hats, and you have a symbol of the sun and a symbol of Mercury, combust, debilitated, retrograde. In your left hand, you have a symbol of Sagittarius. It's masculine. Its color is gold. So with your left hand, you have what I call a Midas touch. You can, you'll make more money, fortune, coming at things from the feminine aspect than you will the masculine. At your feet is Virgo. That's mutable earth. That's like walking in sand, right? Shifting sands. It's not stable. Its color is black. So as a child, you have on the white hat, the Midas touch golden glove on the left hand, and you have on the black shoes. It's like walking in mud or shifting sands, black sand. And in your right hand is Gemini. Its color is red. It's masculine. You have a symbol of Jupiter. Was he retrograde? Jupiter, and a symbol of the moon. Now you have the red glove on the right hand. That is, if you put your hand in the cookie jar, you will get caught. Any mischievous thing you do, you will be caught. You can't get away with anything. For that matter, you just look guilty, even when you're not. You'll get blamed for shit you didn't do, just because you have on this red glove. You have no poker face. If you lie, you can see, you look guilty even when you're telling the truth. And that's another bad card to draw as a child. You just didn't get a fair shake. But you did what you came here to do, and you do graduate. But, man, what a tough childhood. But it makes us who we are, right? You couldn't become that courageous lion your whole lesson in the beginning, and you finally become it. All right. That is your cross, your pads, your pillars, and your circles. If you have any questions or comments, you can put them in the comments section below. This video is unlisted. Only you and I see it, so you can be as open as you'd like to be. If I know the answers to your questions, I'll tell you. If I don't, we can put our heads together and try to find one. Again, this video is unlisted. You can share the link with whoever you like. You can download this video and put it on your channel. I encourage you to download this video and in case my channel goes down. Otherwise, if you lose the link, I'll be glad to replace it for you at any time. I'd like to thank you for your donation to my channel. I hope this video has helped you as much as your donation helped me. And I'd especially like to thank you for your patience with me in getting this to you.